Well, I don't know about you all, but I find it very frustrating. We have laws on the books, and it seems like no one wants to enforce the laws that are there. And I don't know if you saw the president just a couple of days ago, executive order, that if the once we have 2,500 illegal aliens come across the border, then Border Patrol is supposed to, stop it from there. So 2,500 a day, breaking the law, but then you're supposed to stop it after that. I thought that was fascinating. And Newt Gingrich is talking at a college, prestigious college. He's asked to address the issue. What do we do with DOJ? What do we do with the court system? What do we do with the legal system? And as he's starting to address that, he makes this stunning argument of how we've abandoned reality and in the legal system. And I just think I want you to respond to this and how it relates to our current court situation, Donald Trump. I mean, just all sorts of the things that are unfolding before us. Watch this. This is his analysis of what's taking place.
Scott Rasmussen, who I recommend highly if you haven't looked at it, has done a brilliant study. He figured out that there's a 1% of the elite, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, etc. And he has three things. You have to graduate from those schools with a graduate degree, not just go to school, graduate degree, earn $150,000 or more as a family, and live in a big city. And if you're in that group, you are so radically different from the rest of us that it's astounding. In fact, Scott makes the point that, for example, when asked the question, would you be willing to steal an election rather than lose it? 7% of the American people say yes. 67% of the elites say yes, which he said in his entire career of polling, is the most frightening single figure he ever saw. And when you go through all of their values, they are so far to the left of the rest of us and so willing to use their power to impose it. Remember, these are the people who run the government, the people who run the news media, the people who run the universities, and increasingly, the people who run the largest corporations.
I thought that amazing. 67% saying that they would steal an election, and they believe that's ethically their moral duty. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're trained as a lawyer. How does that affect you when you hear that? Because these are future lawyers, these are future policymakers, these are future leaders in our country, business, all of that. I mean, the moral compass. What's happening there?
Well, I think in that case, it's a pride. It's that they believe that they know what's best for everybody else, and so whatever they have to do to have their will imposed is okay because they know better than the rest of us do. They're more. They think they're more educated than we're. I call them pseudo intellectuals. A lot of them are very bright people. They're very brilliant people. Many of them are. But just because you're brilliant and you know a lot and you're bright doesn't mean you're right about things. And even if you are right, if the majority of the people don't want it, then you have to accept that. You should accept that. I mean, just in Boston this last week, the mayor there has approved. She's going along with a law there that they're not going to prosecute people for theft. It's in the city of Boston, so I'm going to prosecute. Now, I'm sure there's some limit probably to it of the amount, but at some amount below that, they're not going to prosecute anybody for that. Well, you let the word out that that's true. You've got total chaos and pandemonium. You have total lawlessness.
Yeah, so I think we'll visit there at Christmas and go take what we want.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's.
But I mean, that's where we are. And you if you'd have heard these kinds of statements, years ago, you'd have thought, well, that there's no civilization that could ever exist that believes that's true.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. People think that they know what's best and know what's better than others do, and law's not being upheld, or it's being upheld unevenly. There's two systems of justice, and so once that begins to break down in your culture, you've lost your civilization, and we're seeing that erosion slowly taking place.
Jan, you were recently talking about Donald Trump and the trials he's been going through. Is this part of that, in your opinion?
Well, again, that's the elite talking. We are the deplorables, of course. And I mean, we were told that for so long. I think sometimes we actually start believing it. They're saving us from ourselves. That's what these people are thinking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the Antichrist will think sort of like this too, and I think the world will actually receive him well. Well, I am concerned about what happened back on May the 30th. I don't think anybody here is unaware of what happened in New York City back on May the 30th. And when there was some kind of a trial and somebody got, well, I hadn't gotten sentenced yet. I never thought I would be a part of a country that is putting banana republics to shame, actually. I think banana republics would be embarrassed if they were watching America right now. So, I mean, you talk about a country that's in decline, and I think you wrote a book about it, Where's America in Bible Prophecy? It's not there, and I understand why.
And you have to have a judicial system that actually works. Otherwise, you can't have a society that
Yeah.
breaks down. You're trained as a lawyer. So tell us about the power of prosecutors in this, because whether it's individuals in New York or right here in Minnesota or in California, the power of the prosecutor really, in their worldview,
Sure.
comes
It's
out.
key. Yeah, they have a lot more power than judges do. The term they use in law for that is prosecutors have untrammeled discretion. So, they prosecute who they want to and don't prosecute who they don't want to. Again, it's all over the country. They're in counties or districts or, whatever size, areas they're in. But, of course, some of them get indictments. Some of them just do it by what's called an information. But they can bring charges, against anyone. And, a lot of these charges that are brought, especially at the federal level, the average person will go bankrupt just defending themselves. You may be as innocent as can be. But prosecutors have tremendous power. We see that in the Department of Justice today. We see it in these local in these municipalities and different places as well. So that's something that our leaders have to think about going forward. A leader can be brought into some county somewhere and be tried on charges that no one else would ever be charged on. For instance, in New York, I mean, the prosecutor there is famous for taking felonies and pleading those down to misdemeanors.
Yeah.
And now we have a misdemeanor that was shoehorned into being a felony. And again, all people want we want fairness.
Yeah.
You want people to be fair. If someone's broken the law and they need to be prosecuted, they should be. We want fairness, and we don't have that now in our country.